afternoon, Omanut. It's your Moral Omanut Ava. It's so good to be here with you. And this week is our Torah portion is Parshat Vayera, and this is when the Exodus story starts to get really juicy. God appeared to Moses and told him, "You have to go back to Egypt and free the slaves." This was after Moses had escaped Egypt and was a shepherd. So how do you think Moses felt when he heard God say, "You are going to have to free your entire people from the Pharaoh, the most powerful leader in the land"? He was scared, right? He said, "I can't do that. I'm not able to do that. It's impossible." Right? So what did God do to reassure him that he can do this, that God's got Moses' back? Moses had a staff, a walking staff, a mateh, as we say in Hebrew. Can you say mateh? So shepherds, if you know, they walk with a walking stick because they're walking through uneven terrain with their animals. So God basically tells Moses that his staff, his mateh, is going to be his source of wielding God's power to show Israelites and Egyptians and the Pharaoh God's power, so that basically Moses can say, "Look, you have to free my people, you have to let my people go. God's got my back, let me show you." And the mateh is how he showed them. So he struck a rock and water came out for the Israelite elders to drink. Moses and Aaron went to the Pharaoh and threw the mateh down, and it became a serpent. Moses held the mateh over the Nile River and it turned to blood. So now we're talking about the 10 plagues, right? Moses hit the earth and the plague of lice. Moses held it over the rivers again and the frogs came. Moses held it up into the air and thunder and hail came. Moses also used the mateh to bring the locusts and also to split the Red Sea when they crossed into freedom. So with the staff of God, the mateh, in his hand, he was able to free his people. We're going to find a mateh of our own to use, and we're actually going to be doing what we call a journey stick. And this is a indigenous tradition, so Native Americans and Aboriginal people would make journey sticks where they would tie objects in the order that they find them to the stick, and then the objects tell the story. It's kind of like a visual map of your journey. So this is a reminder to me of where I've been on my journey, and it's also a map that I can use to tell the story, which is what I'm going to do now. now that we've said our traveler's prayer, Tfilat HaDerech, we are ready to go on our journey. And my journey actually starts at Temple Emmanuel. What a better way to start my journey than to run into Rabbi Rodich and his family to remind me of this part of my journey. I picked a fresh fern leaf, a new growth fern leaf, which is just so beautiful and perfect, and I love how the new leaves unfurl just as Rabbi Rodich's family has new growth and expansion and beautiful unfurling. So I picked the leaf and add it to the top of my journey stick. And as you can see, my journey stick my mateh is a big hiking stick. You can choose a big hiking stick, or you can choose any size stick, even just one that fits in your pocket. That works just as well. So first things first, got to run Iggy. And but first we find some pokeweed, which is a plant that makes a beautiful dye from its bright purple magenta berry. So I'm going to add a brightly colored string to my hiking stick, the closest colored yarn to magenta that I have. And here we go. Iggy sees some friends. And the smell of eucalyptus is just overpowering here. And I look up and there's a giant eucalyptus. I look on the ground and there's all these little round things. And I think that they must come from the eucalyptus tree. Maybe they have something to do with the seeds. And it looks like Iggy found his own stick, his own mateh, and he wants me to throw it. So now we've arrived at Mountain Lake, a beautiful blue lake where the native turtle lives. And I'm going to add a blue string to my journey stick because the water is just so beautiful and the sky is really blue today right now too, which is different after all the gray fog and rain we've been getting. So now we get to the spire, which is one of my favorite places, and it looks like it has burned. So I'm putting a red string on my stick for the spire. Continuing on down the path, we find some toyon berries, bright red berries, and a red-tailed hawk soaring overhead with some ravens chasing it. They are probably telling the hawk to get out of their zone. And the red-tailed hawk is just soaring up, up, up in circles, riding the air vents. We've finally gotten to the redwood forest, and wow, sticks, so many matim and forts looks like people made. I remember coming here with the preschoolers, and someone made a log path for me to follow right up all the way to a redwood tree. Wow, they're so tall. And the bark is so red and soft. I love it. I want to add it to my mateh. And I hear some cries up ahead, and there are 3 red-tailed hawks. Looks like they're fighting each other. I look on the ground under them to see if they've plucked any of each other's feathers, but I didn't find any. But I did find these mushrooms growing out of a pine cone. And I also found this tall tree with a funny branch growing up it. And Iggy found a friend to play with. So I watched this bird for a long time, just taking a bath in the mud puddle. having a great time, looked like. I put a brown string on my mateh for the mud puddle that bird was also brown. And here we get to inspiration point. What a great way to end my journey. And here's my stick. It's all complete. All right, Omanim and Omanut, thank you so much for coming along with me on my journey. And now it's time to go on your own journey and find your own mateh. So I am so excited for you, and we are going to be carrying this mapping, this journeying forward into our next art projects moving forward. So see you next time. Lehitraot.